Good evening, everyone. Today is the 20th of August. I know I said that already, but we're going to be talking about your immune system. And it's important that we keep in mind that your immune system has many different facets to it, and that keeping your immune system healthy is really the basis for all good health. We're going to pace through many different things this morning and this evening about healthy ways that you want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on to keep yourself healthy and to keep your immune system strong. And at the end of the presentation, we're going to talk to you about some of the things that are coming up. We're going to be, actually this presentation today is a little bit of a teaser. I think you're going to learn, but I also want to point you in the direction of something new that's going to happen over the next 7 days. So the next 7 days, this presentation is really going to take you into the next week, and I hope that it kind of helps you to really wrap your head around what's a good way to keep your immune system strong. So let me share my screen again for the second time, because I know I just tried to share it, but I wasn't recording. Whoops, there we go. And let's hit play. So for those of you who haven't met me before, I am Elena Jordan, and this presentation, this slide presentation goes on actually every Monday at the same time. So if you're joining us from Southeast Asia, good evening. If you're joining us from Europe, good afternoon. And if you're joining us from the US, good morning. We're happy to have you here. And the ideas contained in this presentation are based on the book, Essential Oils Healthcare for Today, A Beginner's Guide. These are the top 50 health issues from A to Z. If you are a beginner, it's a great way to start because it can help you with a 90-day plan. If you're not a beginner, but you're helping other people to begin on their journey with essential oils, this is the book for you. As you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a 90-day plan for each of the top 50 health issues. And helping people to get on a plan and stay on one is really a great way to vibrant good health. There's a lot of ideas in this particular book about your immune system and keeping it strong. So I want to thank you also to our Presidential Diamond team. Each and every week we have wonderful leaders that get on this call, and if you have any questions at the end of the call, you can feel free to contact me personally, of course, but you should also contact the person who invited you to this call, because I think really that's the most important person. He's probably in your local market. You want to be able to ask him or her some questions about what you heard today and get some straight shooting answers. So let's get going. Okay, so let's talk about the autoimmune matrix. So the autoimmune matrix is basically a way that we think about our autoimmune system and we think about keeping it healthy. It's sort of that idea of mind, body, spirit. And we want to keep each one of those facets healthy to be able to experience really vibrant, good health. And this presentation is going to be all about the autoimmune matrix. And then at the end, we're going to talk about specific products and a way that you can begin to boost your autoimmune system. Okay, so here, let's talk a little bit about the triangle of health. And you can see all those aspects of, you see pills and a heart and a syringe and all different sorts of things, but really it's just three main components. So imagine health expressed as a triangle. At the base is your genes, all 23,000 of them. Each of these are inherited by your parents and are present your whole life. However, they're not necessarily noticed until some other factor activates them. The genes can be turned on or off, much like a light switch, by what we can visualize as the points on the health triangle. So the 3 points are the chemical self, the physical self, and the mental self. This will make more sense as we discuss these components of health further, but know that as functional medicine doctors, we view the whole triangle in its entirety. So we are not obviously doctors, but we are in a business in which we become sort of trusted companions, if you will, or trusted helpers for other people to help them to better their health. So here, let's talk a little bit about the autoimmune matrix. So the triangle of health represents components of the autoimmune matrix. It's understood that autoimmune diseases are caused by chemical, physical, or mental influences turning on certain genes. In other words, autoimmunity is bred by lifestyle choices and behavior. It's also important to note that each of these elements can interact with one another, For example, if we're not tending to our physical self, our chemical self reacts and vice versa. Fortunately, this means these genes can be expressed in another way. Our influences chemically, physically, and mentally can determine our health to be either compromised or optimized. While that may sound scary, it's equally empowering and can instill a lot of hope in those suffering from autoimmune conditions. So let's talk about a little bit about modern medicine. And we've talked about, certainly when those of you who put together a natural solutions class, one of our most basic classes, one of the things we talk about is modern medicine and how it has kind of failed us. So most conventional doctors will solely focus on chemical components using medication. Endless ways to influence the body using the standard of care, such as artificially manipulating inflammation, vital hormones, and many of the other essential chemical processes within the body. This is all done with one common goal: to cover up symptoms. On the other hand, functional medicine doctors address the origin of disease to ensure comprehensive and effective treatment. Covering up the symptoms should never be considered or disguised as a cure. So let's talk about the functional approach a little bit. And if you are not using a functional medicine doctor, I want you to keep in mind whatever medical professional you are currently consulting with. If you're not consulting with a medical professional on a regular basis, and by regular basis, I mean at least once every year or every other year, to get what we would call a checkup, a tune-up, if you will. It's very easy to say, I feel great, I feel healthy, and then never walk into a doctor's office. If you are the type of person who's afraid of doctors, I'm going to ask you, please don't be afraid. Doctors are trained to help people, and they really want to make sure that you have the best care possible. For those of you who are in Asia, you may be consulting with someone who does TCM, or traditional Chinese medicine, and that person also would be someone who would be able to look at your whole body and you as the entire person. I love this particular photograph because it shows a younger woman, whether she's a doctor or a nurse or some other medical professional. She's interacting with an older patient, and we find that by specializing in different specialties, we've kind of begun to ignore the whole person. We've begun to look at the specialty of the elbow or of the shoulder, something so specific that it kind of lets us down when we go to look at how is the person performing as a whole. So functional medicine is centered around the patient versus the disease. Practitioners see health problems as a reaction to dysfunctions within the body rather than an isolated issue. This approach is truly revolutionizing the medical field by empowering patients to better understand imbalances in their body, how these imbalances affect their health, and the solutions available to support the normal healing mechanisms within their body. When this is applied to autoimmune complications, people are astonished by the improvement in their health, if not complete recovery. So let's talk about the chemical self first. I love this photograph with all these beautiful fruits and vegetables, all of which we know are filled with different sorts of micronutrients and macronutrients that can help the body to heal. The chemical components of health will be a large majority of what we discussed throughout this presentation, and for good reason. In short, chemistry in this sense refers to anything that enters the body, including things like food, vitamins and minerals, water, pesticides, preservatives, and dyes. And there are other environmental factors that we have less control over, but also can affect our health. Things like bacteria, parasites, toxins, allergens, and other microorganisms. The common theme throughout the triangle of health is your control. Your chemical self is influenced by what you choose to have enter your body, and in turn, the chemical influence on your gene activation. We'll be talking about chemical or nutrient deficiencies. So top nutrient deficiencies. And here I'm not specifically showing a picture of lifelong vitality, because I think it's important for us to think about food as medicine and also medicine as food. And so we want to think about what are some of the top nutrient deficiencies that we can encounter living in a modern world. In the words of Dr. Osborne, the importance of nutrition can't be argued. It's absolutely critical. So essential nutrients found in food, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, carbohydrates, and fats are necessary for the proper functioning of the body. Each have their own job, and everyone's needs are specific to their own unique health. The most common nutrient deficiencies seen in practice are not limited to, but include things like vitamin D, vitamin B12, zinc, omega-3 fatty acids, and water. Let's spotlight first vitamin D. So most immune cells have specific vitamin D receptors, which help modulate immune activity and response. It's no surprise that clear connections have been found between autoimmune disease and this deficiency. And in my last presentation last week, we talked a little bit about how intake of vitamin D, the most optimum is obviously from getting a little bit of healthy sunlight and getting yourself outdoors and in fresh air. But if that's not possible, or if you live in a city, or it's the rainy season and you're just not able to get natural sunlight right now, then supplementation is necessary. And all of the LLV supplements are designed to interact with each other on an optimal level and include vitamin D. So some foods that include vitamin D are wild-caught salmon, tuna, eggs, mushrooms for our vegan listeners, and fortified cereals. The most abundant source of vitamin D is from direct sunlight, as I mentioned. We're advised to limit our time in the sun and wear UV blocking protectants. However, vitamin D is immunomodulatory, otherwise known as an aid in proper immune system function. So I want to talk also about fortified foods. For those of you who perhaps don't get enough of the foods that are listed here, you may want to start looking at things like almond milks and nut milks that often are fortified with vitamin D, or products that naturally contain vitamin D, and perhaps going onto Google and checking out what are foods with vitamin D. So let's talk about medications and deficiencies. Now, I am not advocating that anyone stop taking their medication, but I want you to begin to take medications wisely and really think about where's your best use of your medication. So common use medications used to treat autoimmune disease can actually cause vitamin and mineral deficiencies. Let's talk about some of for general information, some of the deficiencies that are caused by different medications. For blood pressure medication can cause deficiencies in vitamin B1, B6, C, magnesium, calcium, and potassium. For cholesterol medication, vitamins A, B2, B6, B12, D, E, and K. Anti-inflammatory medication can reduce vitamins A, C, D, and so on. And vitamin D, B12, folic acid. So anti-inflammatory medications, things like Aleve and Tylenol and Panadol, can very frequently reduce our ability to process vitamins, or can actually cause deficiencies to occur. These are only guidelines. They are not true for all medications, but they may be something that you want to keep in mind. And I'm not reading every word on this page, folks, because you're going to be able to see this replayed in our 2 Facebook groups, Oil Camp Alumni, and also in Team Power Diamond. Okay, let's talk a little bit about toxic overload. So you can see the difference between these pairs. If they didn't have the stickers on them, really, it would be hard to tell them apart. The one on the left says no GMOs, so it's not genetically modified, but the one on the right is. Now, if I were in the supermarket, really, I couldn't tell the difference without the stickers. So something you want to keep in mind. In the United States, if something is marked certified organic, a fruit or a vegetable, it means that it has not been genetically modified. And outside of the United States, I know you have different regulations, but it is something just to keep in mind. And you may want to review your genetically modified or your GMO regulations or your organic specifications for fruits and vegetables. So we're exposed to toxins on a regular basis. Many are often unavoidable. Things like pesticides, GMOs, air pollutants, heavy metals, and chemical contaminants. Toxins can be the cause of many health complications such as fatigue, muscle aches, joint pain, and so on. And to reduce and prevent this toxic load, there are many ways to minimize exposure, such as organic, non-GMO foods, air purification systems, and of course diffusing, water filters, and toxic-free household items. So let's talk about a little bit now about the gut. This is the gateway to health. In order to properly diagnose nutrient deficiencies, it's important to rule out any issues associated with gut function. If your gut is not functioning properly, it's unlikely that your body will be able to absorb proper nutrients. Eating the right foods or taking supplements will go unnoticed, and you may become frustrated with the lack of improvement. Some of the major functions of the gut include digestion, immune response, nutrient absorption, hormone regulation, vitamin production, detoxification, and mood management. So what happens when the gut gets damaged, or how actually does the gut get damaged? Because I remember somebody telling me once, well, if you have a damaged gut, you're not going to be able to absorb nutrients. And I thought to myself, well, I've never been punched in the stomach, but that has nothing to do with it. Really, it's what do we absorb and what are the things that help or hinder us? So these components have been proved to significantly damage the gut. Things like the standard American diet, which really now has become the standard worldwide diet. Unfortunately, we see fast foods all over the world. Chemicals such as pesticides, preservatives, heavy metals, food dyes, infections, of course, gluten and other grains, food allergies, excessive medications, aggressive exercise, and chronic stress. All of these things can really help to damage our gut and to weaken our immune system. How the gut gets leaky. If you are on medication, it's crucial to be aware of the potential risks. Some include antibiotics, which can destroy the good bacteria needed for digestion. Common pain medication, as we mentioned before, has been found to erode the mucosal lining of the stomach and small intestine. And acid reflux medications can block stomach acid production. In turn, this hinders digestion and absorption. And finally, antidepressants can negatively affect the neurotransmitters in the gut. Okay, last but not least, we're going to talk about allergens. And then I'm going to tell you about 7 days to begin to boost your immune system. So some of the most commonly ignored allergies include food allergies, medication, surgical allergies, chemical, and mold. I have to say now in the United States, where I live on the East Coast, we've had rain and rain and rain for about 3 weeks. Some days just constant pouring, almost tropical rain, which is very unusual for this part of the United States. And there is an overabundance of mold. And while my garden looks beautiful when the rain stops, there's also, I can feel a lot of humidity and condensation on my windows. So I know that mold is also growing in the garden, mold and bacteria both. And I find myself sometimes waking up in the morning and sneezing or having a runny nose. And for me, that's a sign usually of allergies. I've begun to take my Tri-Ease on a regular basis to make sure that I don't have such discomfort with seasonal discomfort. I also know as it begins to dry out towards the end of the year, my allergies should really go away. But in general, I find that having taken essential oils on a regular basis, ingesting them, diffusing them, and applying them to my skin, my allergy symptoms are extremely mild. And right now, it really is a minor discomfort, something like maybe I need to use one tissue in the morning to kind of blot my nose. So we're not talking about a major disaster. But just keep in mind, folks, if you do have changes of season, how the seasonal changes can affect you and your allergies. And fortunately, there are many ways to test for allergies, including skin tests, blood tests, and so on. You can often do food challenges. If you are suffering from allergies, you may want to undergo some of these tests to help you to identify exactly what your allergies are. Okay, so last but not least, our emotional self. The emotional component to self is the most often ignored. You are what you think. If you do not believe you can recover, it's likely that that will become your reality. On the other hand, if you're hopeful and positive, your ability to overcome health complications increases substantially. Feed your passions. Spend time with the people you love. Find things that make you feel relaxed. Manage your stress. And most important of all, don't forget to love yourself throughout your healing process. Okay, so here's our action steps. Number 1, let's try to cut out things like grains, dairy, legumes, nightshades, and processed foods, especially for us to help take control of our health. Changing our diet to only contain easy to digest whole foods. Try supplementation, of course, with digestive enzymes. Avoid unnecessary antibiotics. Detoxify regularly. Practice deep breathing exercise. Adopt good hygiene practices. That includes sleep hygiene. We want to try to exercise regularly, connect with others, rest when you need it, find a hobby you love, and lastly, do what makes you feel healthy and happy. Okay, so finally, for those of you who have been very patient, I want to talk to you about the Tune Up Your Body or Reignite Your Immunity Kit. So we are over 7 days starting, actually, I think we're going to start today. You're going to join us on Facebook, whether it's on Team Power Diamond or Oil Camp Alumni, and we're going to have 7 days of do-it-yourself tips, recipes, and ideas to boost your immunity for fall. I encourage you to add this kit to your LRP for August. If you haven't done so already, you may have these products in your cabinet. The immune support kit that's available through the US website contains the following, and you can see from left to right: Copaiba, On Guard Plus soft gels, Breathe, PB Assist, On Guard spray, sanitizing mist, oregano roll-on, and then On Guard essential oil. You want to boost your immunity, you want to prepare your body, you want to protect it, and you want to do and really prevent any sort of toxins coming into your environment. So this kit is SKU 602-05944, wholesale value of $150 US dollars. PV is slightly lower. I think it's actually 135 PV. Take a picture of this screen if you would, because if you do have these products on hand, these are the products that we're going to be talking about over the next 7 days. So we have everything set up for you to run an immune challenge with your team. I am encouraging you to get them on either one of those 2 Facebook groups over the next 7 days. Our vision as a company for doTERRA is to focus on everyone getting ready for school with an immune boost challenge. We're going to provide you with how to start your own Facebook group if you wish. We're going to give you daily ideas, basics of how to promote the challenge, and images for all you need to run this challenge. So you can send your team to each of the 2 pages, whether it's Oil Camp Alumni on Facebook or Team Power Diamond, and these are the daily challenges. Day 1 is going to be Oregano Touch. Day 2, Copaiba. Day 3, On Guard Sanitizing Mist. Day 4, On Guard. Day 5, PB Assist Plus. Day 6, On Guard Plus, and day 7, Breathe. And folks, I know that this is kind of out of the ordinary. Usually what I do is I do the call, I tell you all about the products, and then I get off. Today, I'm actually challenging you to do something different. I'm challenging you to share with others and invite them to come and see all the wonderful products that we have specifically for keeping your immune system healthy. Now, you've learned a lot today. I've covered a ton of information. I want to make sure that you've been listening. So we will be awarding prizes on the 2 Facebook groups. So we'll be challenging people to get on, to read the posts, and to comment. Just like we want you to get on and read different things, get on this call. If you comment, you can win prizes. Now, a comment is not a smiley face. A comment is not a thumbs up. A comment is actually something substantive. So I love the Oregano Touch because it helps me with, or I applied the Oregano Touch to the soles of my son's feet and his sniffle stopped. whatever it is that you want or need to comment is fine with us, but we want to make sure that you're actually becoming engaged and encouraging others to engage also. So this is an immune challenge with your team. And if you don't have a team, or maybe you're on this call for the first time, I encourage you to get in contact with the person who brought you to this call and help get you onto those Facebook groups and begin to challenge your immune system and really learn about what you can do to get ready for school. So I know in Southeast Asia, kids are already in school, and they're going to be in school through about the second week in November, and then they'll go out on winter holiday. But we want to encourage them to stay healthy and just to help families to stay healthy until they go out on holiday break. I know that right now everybody's studying intensely, and sometimes when you're a student, if you're studying intensely, your immune system can be compromised because your brain function and your immune system becomes lower as you internalize the stress of studying. So I want to say thank you for listening, and happy healing. And I look forward to seeing you on the Facebook groups. Okay, so if we have any questions, I'm going to stop the share. Okay, and I'm going to stop the recording.